Star Citizen 4.7 is actually now in wave 1 of PTU testing, and this update is going to come with a lot of things, so it's something that's got me totally locked in. What is up, y'all? It is your boy stephlyon, and today we're going to be looking at the Alpha 4.7 PTU patch notes from CIG. There is quite a lot of information on this, but something that totally caught my eye just off rip was the sharp prices and adjustments, because in that we saw that CIG gave us a whole bunch of adjustments they're making to the shop, and they gave us additions, and the additions are where I want to pay close attention to. We've seen that the Asperia Stinger and the Gray's Market Shiv have been added to the ship shops. And honestly, looking at those additions, I'm like, damn, we know the Stinger was kind of a letdown to most people. We expected it to be way stronger, way tankier, and it just didn't feel like that. It felt a little bit squishy, and the movement on it was just not there. There was no movements, and we expected it to be slow, but we expected it because it's slow and it's hard to handle. It was going to be a menace, but it wasn't really a menace. And I'm like, maybe because it wasn't that great, it made people not want to actually pledge for it. And that could be a reason why we're seeing it in the verse so quickly, because in my opinion, that's a really quick addition into the game stores. And I'm only saying that because I was thinking they were going to do some sort of rebalancing to the ship before they added it into game. But we did see CIG say during the start of the year that they're going to be doing a faster cadence when it comes to ship from pledge store to in-game store. And this is kind of showing it to us, like they're actually bringing these ships into game really quickly, which is nice, because again, it's like you don't want to have the fear of missing out because you can't buy something. So having it in game means, hey, you can actually earn this ship in game. You don't have to spend any more real money, meaning if some of these ships are pay to win, they're taking away that aspect as quickly as they can, which is a big W, because that's one of the things people always complain about. Star Citizen, you have to pay to win, you have to pay to get the best ship. Now these ships are coming into game like 4 months after release, which is really awesome in my opinion. In saying that, we can also see the Apollo, Triage, and the Medevac are actually rentable in game, which is freaking insane. Having that kind of safety net when you rent a ship and you know you're just gonna be able to respawn in it with the OP freaking medical beds is really, really nice. And having it in game now, so people who are going to do things, right now I'm doing some crazy things. I'm doing hat tours, I'm doing OLPs, I'm trying Lazarus on my own, I'm doing the Pharaoh data centers. So having a ship where I don't have to go bring a nurse every time and I can actually spawn back in the ship, that alone is pretty awesome. So seeing that in the rentable section is freaking fire. And from what I've gathered so far, it looks like crafting is working pretty well, now allowing us players to farm materials and craft ourselves some items, mostly FPS items right now, but this is going to extend as they develop the tech a little bit more and figure out how to make it perfect in the verse. CIG have also implemented the new material quality system along with the new blueprint system, which has blueprint rewards for almost all the factions and missions in the verse. So yeah, a lot of the missions and a lot of the factions in the verse actually have blueprints in the pool of rewards you can get. So when we look at the crafting and fabricator and blueprint section, they said missions have been set up with their own blueprint pools, allowing blueprints uniquely designated to specific missions. Added Vaughn FPS, Headhunters FPS, North Rock, and Bit Zero's black box recovery missions with blueprint pools. Added guaranteed blueprint chances for missions that give them. Further weapon blueprint inclusions, FPS weapon, and armor blueprint rebalances based on their rarity. Reduced default dismantle quality return and removed some blueprints from the default list, and they also adjusted recoil balance for crafted weapons. And that's a whole bunch of things that they've added. It's really, really nice to have all those things bubbling in your head. And hey, they've literally said most items are going to be craftable when it comes to your kit, your weapons, and armor. And from what I'm hearing, it seems like almost all items in game have a blueprint. So maybe gone are the days where you have to go buy things to prep yourself or find things. We can actually just make it now. But according to most people, you actually don't get the blueprints every single time you do a mission. So you're not just gonna go to a mission and get a blueprint right away. And that also depends on what blueprint it is and how rare that blueprint is. But now look, I love the idea of fabrication, crafting, and everything that's coming with it, but there is an issue that keeps boggling my mind, and I don't have enough information to make a full kind of like of opinion on it, because it's something that could be very bad or very good. We have learned from early testers that blueprints will be bound to your account, meaning you won't lose them. In the long run, I ain't gonna lie to you, I feel like permanent blueprints is not a good thing for the longevity of the game. And look, before you crash out, just hear me out. Across the industry, we've seen that games which give us permanent blueprints tend to see players get bored once they've collected everything they need. And what do I mean by that? Think about it, right? At one point in your journey in Star Citizen, once we get to the point where there's no more wipes, nothing at all, you will have amassed all the resources you need for any grade, any quality of crafting you want to do. Especially when we have base building, you will have stockpiles of all these things. So now imagine your blueprint is bound to your account, and not just some blueprints like the basic things, all blueprints. You will never have to go get that blueprint again. You will never have any gear fear. It eliminates the gear fear 100%, meaning players are not going to really care about how they handle themselves in the verse, because it's like, hey, I die, I lost the gear, doesn't matter. And then when you think about it, it also makes insurance not that plausible. Why would you need to insure things when you have such stockpiles of all these materials and you can just craft the gear over and over again? You don't need to pay 20 to 30 to 40,000 to keep insuring your gear. You can just craft it again. So when you eliminate the fear of dying and you 100% take that away, and you also eliminate the need for insurance, it's like you've taken the edge off the survival part of the game. And I feel like there has to be some give and take here. Right now in alpha, at the stage we are, and this is what I'm talking about, is right now at the stage we are, it makes sense, because a lot of times how you die from things that are way out of your controls, be it bugs, whatever it is, there's a lot of jankiness. So losing things all the time, right now having permanent blueprints, it would make sense, because you might lose your things just because of a bug. In saying that as well, in my next breath, I'm going to say we need to move off to the next tier of item recovery, because we need to make crafting mean something, and we also need to make insurance mean something. So when it comes in, it will mean something if you lose your gear, because you can actually insure your gear. Now, how do I propose we fix this permanent blueprint thing? I've talked about kind of like a fragmentation kind of mechanic, where if you get some basic stuff and some of the things, like it'll be like, okay, boom, you got this blueprint, it's for the Orc MK whatever, and it's now a blueprint that you own. This was given to you by the UEE. It is a basic blueprint that everyone can get. This blueprint is now hosted on the UEE servers, and whenever you need it, no matter what happens, it's bound to your account. It's on the UEE servers. The data that makes up this blueprint is forever stored and forever secured. Now, let's say you find something that's rare, or you find something out there, or you steal it from another player. You have now got a blueprint that is going to be hosted on your private servers, and now every time you use it, it's starting to get fragmented. So every time you use it and you craft something with it, you lose 5% of the file stability. So over time, after 20 to 30 crafts or 10 crafts, the whole file becomes corrupt and you no longer have that file. That will open a lot of things, and it'll open a lot of replayability of certain missions and certain zones and sandbox activities, because at some point you will have to go there. And even beyond that, it opens up a market for business. Someone who will actually just run certain things and get certain blueprints can have a stockpile. And now it's like, hey, I have 10% left on this blueprint. I want to have maybe 2 or 3 more crafts. I'm going to go ask this guy or this person that I know does a lot of blueprint farming and say, hey, do you have this in stock? And now I can buy it from them. And it also brings merchants into it, where merchants will buy all these blueprints and bring them around in their ships and say, hey, I have this blueprint to sell, or I have this blueprint to sell. And it opens up more player-to-player interactions and sales, meaning the economy goes back to the hands of the players. So I feel like having permanent blueprints takes all of that off the table, and it doesn't sit right with me, because I want players to think about, hey, I did this thing, how hard was that? Will I be willing to go do this thing again to get that blueprint, or should I just save money and buy it from someone else? And when we get item insurance, it's also like, hey, okay, I have 20 crafts or I have 10 crafts, I can kind of don't need to insure my gear, but if I die, I'm losing those crafts. So now it's like I can just save all my lives by insuring my gear every single time. So I never need to recraft it, meaning my blueprint stays at a high value. And only if I'm ever super broke and I can't afford to insure my items, then I start seeing that fragmentation coming. And things like this and mechanics like this also get your head in tune with the idea of Death of a Spaceman later in the future. So I feel like there has to be some way to kind of ease us into it. But right now, I will say I agree with it. Permanent blueprints until everything is stable enough where you're not losing things all the time. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on the whole blueprint situation. Let me know what you guys think. I think we've had a few conversations about this, but let me know what you think, because it's coming in now. It's basically going to be around the corner. In the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to see it. Are you okay with permanent blueprints, or do you want to see something where it's like you're losing file fidelity as you keep using the file and using the blueprint to create things? We've also seen that the inventory design is coming along, which basically goes hand in hand with the new crafting system. They've added and applied clear buttons to the search. They've also added support for fixed grid size specification for inventory UI items that does not change the size based on the orientation. They also adjusted inconsistent use of dimensions throughout the inventory systems. This whole inventory system is something that I am looking at and I'm a little bit worried about, but I've only heard good things about it, which is nice because people are saying it's way better. And for me, someone like me, I'm a loot goblin, right? I have so much stuff in my freaking storage terminal. Being able to search things, goated. Being able to open multiple containers is going to make looting so much freaking better, and I actually can't wait. The only thing that kind of threw me off was just the look of it. It looked very, very like daunting. I was like, am I going to actually be able to get my head around this? And that's just from seeing images of it. I haven't used it yet. So when I get to actually get my hands on this thing and use this thing, I feel like once I get my head around it, this is going to be one of the best things that could happen to someone who is a freaking loot goblin, because it's going to make handling things so much easier. And because we have all these new systems, the blueprint system and all these other things coming with crafting, we definitely needed this revamp. The next big game loop is also coming, and there's been some polishing done to Operation Breaker Station. So they've reduced overall amount of Breaker Station missions in Nyx, and they've put in a freaking large increase of how much you have to pay to buy into the private Breaker Stations, and people are losing their minds because with the increase to buy in for the exclusive locations, they've reduced the buy-in cost for non-exclusive. So PvP players and people who aren't scared to get in a little bit of a skirmish, they get to pay basically nothing to get to these stations, right? They've also added Ice Juvenile and Ice Adult Valakar to these stations. So we've also got Ice Juvenile and Adult Valakar. So this is what they were talking when they were saying they had DNA and they're going to do creature DNA. This is what they meant. They wanted to do variants of the things that they're adding into the game. So we have the irradiated, we have the regular, and now we have the ice versions as well. They also did some polishing to the stations. They also increased the respawn time for laser room combat AI. We got some performance updates with new meshes and LOD adjustments, ambient audio adjustments, and they also temporarily added 3 more laser catalysts to the processing room for the PTU. And yeah, with all of that information, there's a lot of controversy around it. People are losing their mind. They're like, why are you making us pay more for the exclusive things while you're making them so accessible? And you also took away some stations for the exclusive things, basically saying you want us to like get involved in more PvP. And I'm like, Gango, can we chill for a second? In my opinion, CIG has made the event doable as basically PvE mode or PvP mode, where you can either pay more to get peace of mind. You want peace of mind? You can pay more, or you go out there and you might see Murder Hobo Bob come at your ass. Pause, you feel me? So yeah, it's going to cost more, but is it not worth it for your sanity if you want to keep away from PvP? Because in my opinion, having too much PvE in Star Citizen makes the emergent side of the game die. But CIG coming to a middle ground like this shouldn't be annoying people as much as it is, because like they're literally finding a middle ground where yes, you have to pay more money, but money in Star Citizen is not that hard to come by. Can we all be for real? Especially right now with all the exploits, money is not that hard to come by right now. Because in my opinion, and what a lot of other people are saying as well, raising the private breaker station prices have to reflect the high risk, high reward aspect of the loop. Even when they're totally eliminating the chance of PvP, they still have to literally say high risk, high reward. So what is going to be the risk if you're going to be able to buy in for basically nothing, come out with a mission that's going to give you 2 to 3 million, bro? Like, why would they make it cheap to do something that's going to net you so much profit? I don't see people complaining when they spend 5 million on freaking gold to haul it across the system to get that 200 credits extra per sale, and they make an extra 2 million from the 8 million or 5 million that they spent. It makes sense. But I will say the only argument which I can agree with, and for some reason everyone seems to be like skipping over this, and all they're talking about is it's so expensive and no one can afford to do this and most players don't have this money. That's what everyone is saying, instead of just looking at it for the actual issue that could occur because of the amount of money they're making you pay for it. Things break. Way too often things break. And if you're spending almost 1 million credits to get into somewhere and it breaks, that's where we hit an issue, because you just paid into something and you're going to get no rewards from it, meaning you've lost all that money you paid. That is the only part where I'm like, having the price that high might not be the best, because if it breaks, people are going to be pissed. And I would write, if I paid you $1 million and you tell me, oh no, this card didn't spawn, or oh no, the station is bugged out and you can't do this, gang, we have to fight. Run me my bills. Like, what are you talking about? And that is the only part where I'm like, okay, it kind of makes sense if you're angry about that part. But a lot of people aren't even angry about that part. They're literally just saying it's too expensive and you can't afford it because no one can make that money. And it's like, Gango, look, if you're playing Star Citizen and you don't have missions that can make you that amount of money because you don't bother earning rep and unlocking better missions, Star Citizen isn't level based. It's all about time based. How much time do you have to build your reputation up? If you don't have missions that can net you 1 million in a day or even 2 to 3 hours, gang, then you're slacking. Is it fair for someone to build up all their rep and have missions where they can make a lot of money in a short amount of time just for you to come in and be able to do it for free? It doesn't make sense. These are high tier, mid-game kind of events and sandbox activities. You have to earn your way in. You earn your keep. If you haven't earned your keep, you're not ready for it yet. You're simply not ready for it. You haven't done enough missions, you haven't tested enough things in Star Citizen to earn your way to this new event. People think just because it's a new event, they're like entitled to just be able to do it. Sometimes you have to earn your keep. The same way you have to earn your keep and earn your rewards for things like the Alliance Aid and Race for Stanton. You have to earn the money to earn your place to go into this exclusive station. It just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like a lot of people are just being mad for no reason. But hey, look, anything you do, people are going to be mad. And hey, I have my moments too, so I get it. Some things just rub off the wrong way on you. We also saw on the patch notes that they are doing some engineering updates and radar assisted targeting changes. And it looks like the day of the live fighters might be over, because what I'm getting from this, I did a little bit of research, and what I kind of figured out was, for the Alpha 4.7 patch, CIG intends to flip the radar system, making ship size and radar type matter, meaning smaller ships with smaller radar modules have a harder time with seeing far and locking their radar from a greater distance, meaning you have to start getting real close to fight. You can't do no fighting from 2 kilometers away, meaning your evasion skills have to be top notch because you're fighting at such a close range. And from what it looks like, it's going to be more or less your radar now has more pips. So if you want better radar usage, you have to be able to sacrifice some power pips to put into your radar. So now it's like, are you going to sacrifice weapons, coolers, engines to give yourself better radar? So bigger ships with bigger power plants and bigger and more pips to give are going to benefit from this. So now if you're a hauler and you see someone encroaching on you and they are red, or you think they're a pirate, when you're in combat with them, the further you can get away, the harder it's going to be for them to actually aim at you, because if they aren't in the right location and the right distance from you, their aim assist doesn't work. And that's what's going to be crazy. Having lower aim assist is going to make light fighters not that great, because I've learned something. Most pirates in Star Citizen, they're not great players. They're actually not great players, like deadass. They're not that good. So having a chance to escape them is going to be just clutch. So if you're someone who does hauling, whatever, mining, and you always feel like you're trapped, you will have a lot better chances of escaping. Once you hit nav mode, they can't even look at you. Deadass. But I don't have all the information. That's kind of what I've gathered, which could 100% not be accurate. So if you've tried it out and you've actually got way better information than me, let us know in the comments below, because I don't want to be spreading any false information. But that is what I got from all the things I saw and all the things I read up on in Spectrum and on Reddit. But yeah, those are the 4.7 patch notes that just got released a couple of hours ago, and this is exciting times, gang. Like we're 3 months into the year. Exciting, bro. Star Citizen is about to be crazy 2026. If you like the way this information was presented to you, you like my face, you like my voice, make sure to leave a like and a subscribe. If you're looking to get the Star Citizen, make sure to use this code down below to get yourself a little bit of extra something when you sign up. And don't forget, don't let the verse stress you out. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.